Why is there a dinosaur toy in our studio? Did somebody bring their kid to work?
Excuse me, that is not a toy. That is actually a true-to-life statuette of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which I picked up as a souvenir last weekend after visiting my favorite place on Earth.
So you went to the Natural History Museum, or a science center. Are we still considering Pluto to not be a planet, or did we all just collectively decide to ignore that proclamation?
Actually, instead of wasting my time being told lies in various museums, I decided to visit a place that tells the truth. A place that isn't afraid to teach about the glorious era from long ago, when man and dinosaurs coexisted in harmony.
Wait, did you spend your weekend binging the Flintstones or something? You know that isn't a documentary, right?
Of course not. That is simply a fictional story that makes no sense. I actually fulfilled one of my bucket list items and visited the Creation Museum in Petersburg, Kentucky, which, unlike other museums, accurately depicts the 6,000-year history of the world in accordance with the Bible, which, as we all know, is the only real source of truth.
Well, sure was a good show we had going there. So where the hell in the Bible does Jesus mingle with fucking velociraptors? Is this from one of those weird off-the-wall episodes of Veggie Tales?
Well, maybe if you visited the Creation Museum, you'd be more informed like me.
Informed of what? Of what a Jurassic Park movie might look like if it was directed by a closeted youth pastor?
The Creation Museum was founded in 2007 by one of my personal heroes, Ken Ham, seen here looking like he has definitely at one point called the police on a group of minority children walking down a street in his neighborhood. Unlike other museums which are full of fake news, the Creation Museum presents history from the standpoint of biblical literalism. It correctly teaches that the Earth is only 6,000 years old and that dinosaurs actually cohabitated with Adam and Eve.
Two things. First of all, a video or two ago you said that dinosaurs weren't real and bones were just buried by the devil to trick people.
Well, yes, but that is inconvenient for my current argument, and therefore I shall choose to ignore it.
Second, we've already proven using actual scientific measurements that the Earth is a little over 4 billion years old, and the universe is about 10 billion years older than that.
That is just what scientists want you to think. Maybe you should read the Bible.
I've read every word multiple times. Have you?
Anyway, unlike traditional museums that peddle in liberal indoctrination, the Creation Museum teaches that the universe was actually made from God and not from ridiculous woke ideas like the Big Bang Theory that go against religious beliefs.
The Big Bang Theory was literally proposed by a Catholic priest.
As well as correctly attributing the birth of the universe to God, the Creation Museum also eschews the wildly silly notion of evolution in favor of a more realistic depiction of the origin of life on Earth, like tearing a rib from a man and using it to create a woman.
How exactly is that more probable than evolution?
Because I know that I did not evolve from monkeys.
You're a robot. You evolved from toasters and Roombas.
Okay, fine, but if people evolved from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys here?
Because the monkeys here also evolved from monkeys in the past. It's called a common ancestor. Honestly, it might do you well to develop some sort of understanding of how evolution works before you condemn it.
Excuse me, I have played several hundred hours of Pokemon, so I think I understand how evolution works.
Jesus fucking Christ, that's metamorphosis, not evolution.
Now you are just making up words.
Metamorphosis is what happens when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Evolution describes changes in a population of creatures over long periods of time, usually as a result of mutations that make it easier to survive in changing environments. For example, a dirty brown pond has a population of brown fish. Every once in a while, a green one is born as a result of a mutation, but since they're easier to see, they get eaten first and don't survive. But let's say one day the environment changes and the earth warms up a little, and now the water's turned green because of algae. Now, the green mutated fish have a survival advantage, and over time, the entire species has evolved into being green instead of brown. That's evolution.
Over the past few decades, teaching creationism in schools as an alternative to the theory that we came from dirty fish has again become a relevant issue with the rise of Christian nationalism in the United States. Unfortunately, there are only 13 states in the US that are willing to actually tell the truth about how our world began.
Are you serious? There are that many states that are still trying to teach that as an alternative to evolution.
I know, it is quite shameful that the other 37 states have not yet joined in.
What's shameful is that we're once again not separating church and state. Public education should be teaching objective science, not faith-based beliefs as alternatives. If you want to believe in creationism over evolution, then that's your prerogative, and I won't tell you what to do, but the whole reason it shouldn't be taught in a public space is because it isn't actually science. Science is observable facts leading to measurement-based conclusions, regardless of what you want to be true.
I disagree that religious doctrine should not be included in public education. How else are heathens going to learn?
Okay, fine. Then in that case, let's also start offering to teach public school students that Allah created the universe, or that Jesus was born in America.
Well, no.
And while we're at it, let's start letting the teachings of the Nation of Islam in public schools, if you're so for providing religious alternatives to science.
In 1938, the theory of evolution was done a mortal blow when a prehistoric fish called the coelacanth was discovered off the coast of Africa. The coelacanth had supposedly been extinct for over 66 million years, but its rediscovery definitively proves creationism over evolution.
Are you telling me that your proof that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and that we didn't evolve from fish, is a 66 million-year-old fish? How does that work?
Indeed, as the Lord would never allow harm to befall his creatures, nor ever allow one to go extinct.
The Lord literally mass murdered an entire city of people and turned a guy's wife into a pile of salt just for shits and giggles. I don't think he has any qualms about wiping out an ugly fish.
It is not just fish. There have been numerous reports of living dinosaurs still roaming the Congo jungle. This includes a creature known as Mo Kelly Mbembe, which has terrorized the locals for many years. This would support the idea of creationism, as detailed in a very poorly written 2010 book by the very producer of this show.
You mean the 100% fictional book that was written by an angsty teenager in a dorm in between classes?
I would not expect an atheist to understand.
I'm not an atheist.
Wait, what?
I wouldn't consider myself a Christian or a Catholic or anything like that, but I won't rule out some kind of higher power, whether it be God or a God or Xenu or even aliens or whatever. But at the same time, I won't let my openness to the possibility of something up above watching over us blind me from the realities of objective science. My problem isn't with what you believe. My problem is that your allegiance to that faith makes you think that your abstract ideas are somehow superior to proven scientific doctrine that has been studied by millions of people over thousands of years. You want to put your personal beliefs in schools in order to invalidate actual scientific principles and indoctrinate children into your way of thinking. You think the people who run the Creation Museum actually think that Noah stuffed a fucking pair of Tyrannosauruses onto a boat thousands of years ago? No, but they know that kids love them and it draws crowds, and then they can spew their anti-science bullshit and watch their bank accounts fill up from ticket sales.
It sounds like you are simply against religion.
When you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and on the street corners to be seen by men. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen.
Is that from a Ryan Reynolds movie?
It's literally from the fucking Bible. It basically means to keep your shit to yourself. And if you truly believe, then that's all you need to do. You don't need to go around insisting that everyone believe exactly what you do. Look, I understand why people embrace faith. It gives you a sense of community, a sense of purpose, or even comfort when you feel alone. I have no problem with that or with anyone that wants to practice their religion. Where I have a problem is when people start insisting that their beliefs should take priority over observable facts. And then what happens is you get companies exploiting it for profit, or end up with mega church pastors literally hiding fucking money in the walls of their mega mansions.
Well, in fairness, science can be exploitative too.
Oh please, like anyone would ever exploit scientific concepts for a quick buck.